Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. And I know a lot of you have heard about brands having a story. It's a big thing now, and it makes people feel good about the products that they sell. Not that you shouldn't feel good about the products you sell anyway, but it just gives them an added layer, an added story, something to talk about, and a way to actually promote your brand and have people fall in love with your brand because of the story behind it. And in today's episode, we're talking with Will McGinnis about a company called Haiti Made. And he has a really cool opportunity for you guys. If any of you have desired to have a product that you can tell a story about, but you just thought, man, it seems like it'd be so hard and a lot of barriers to entry to create something like this from scratch. Well, Will has an opportunity for you just to partner with him and use their story and have your own product. So if you're doing private label at all, or you have, let's say, you want to put your logo on something, or a saying, a quote, a Bible verse or something, you can use their products, have those put on there, and now you have a story and you can talk about how you are providing jobs in Haiti. Really, really cool. Will is famous for being the bass player of a band called Audio Adrenaline. They won some Grammys, and I just remember hearing a lot of their songs on the radio, and it was fun chatting with Will about that, but more importantly, what he's doing now. And that's why I brought him on here, because he is now a businessman and is providing jobs in Haiti with his company, and he's got a really cool opportunity for those of you that want to add products like that into your business. So here is Will McGinnis. Will, welcome to Streams of Income Radio. Appreciate your time this morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me. Honored to get to share some time with you. It's really cool.
Absolutely. So Haiti Made, I love that hat. Did your workers make that?
Actually, this is just kind of a marketing piece. I get asked that a lot, but we do sew leather patches on some cool hats down there. But this is just a cool, kind of great logo that was created in the beginning when we put the Haiti Made Circle of Trade logo together. That's one of our kids. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can.
That's kind of the outline of one of our students at Hands and Feet Project. So, the work was birthed and born in a nonprofit called Hands and Feet Project, and it was actually for those very students that are on those campuses that we had a heart to see find employment when they left our campus and got through our programs and kind of graduated on and needed to go on to the next level of life, like our own kids. We, when they leave, they quickly find out that they need to go out and get a job to support themselves and to support their dreams, their goals, their life, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we definitely want to talk a lot about Haiti Made, because that's it's how we connected. But you have a really cool story, and I'm a Christian music fan. So talk about what you've done in the past, and then we'll get to how that turned in, how you made the transition from what you did before to now being an entrepreneur and now helping folks in Haiti.
Well, I mean, it's my journey's been quite crazy, but I think all of our journeys are crazy, especially when you follow God and try to seek His will for your life and try to get on the path that He's created for you. I think everyone's got, unique giftings and unique things and unique makeup. God puts His DNA in us, and then He kind of shapes us in a way, and we all have our different personalities and different strengths and weaknesses. So he's got a plan in mind, and it's kind of finding that road to follow. But so early on, I came from a broken home and grew up in Ohio. kind of meager means in a trailer home, some brokenness there. And, you know, my grandma gave me my love for music. She bounced around on the piano. When I graduated from high school, she gave me my bass guitar, my first bass guitar for my graduation present. I still to this day don't even know how she knew I liked the bass or wanted a bass or whatever. She gave me a
That was
bass.
the first time you ever touched a bass guitar?
Yeah. At 18 years old. I was a huge fan of music. It really is probably what carried me through all those crazy times with my mom. And, you know, she was married a couple times and all that. And just kind of didn't really have a father figure in the picture. And, but the music I loved carried me through. You know, I just really identified with a certain alternative style of music back then that just really kind of fed me. And I actually heard a lot of the gospel through a lot of the music I listened to, bands like U2 and others that I was listening to. I was like, man, they got to be Christians, because this stuff just reminds me of the Bible and the gospel and what's going on. Anyway, so I graduate and I'm headed off to Bible college. My mom takes me to college for, you know, that orientation weekend, and she overhears a couple guys saying they're going to start a Christian rock band. She says, look up my son, just interrupts them, you know, out on the sidewalk, people, strangers she doesn't even know, and says, look up my son, Will, he plays bass. Of course, if you remember, I'd only been playing bass about 3 months. Well, a week later, they look me up, and they say, hey, are you Will? And they like look around my room, and it's got all my music posters hanging everywhere, my bass players I love, and album jackets and all that. And they're like, wow, your room's really cool. You must love music. I'm like, yeah, I totally love music, you know. And they said, well, we ran into your mom, and she said you play bass, and we're starting a Christian rock band, and we want you to be bass player in our band. And I was like, well, did she tell you that I've only been playing like 3 months? And they was like, well, you seem really cool. We'll teach you how to play bass. It's not that hard. So that's how I literally got into a Christian rock band. Oh my gosh. 5 days into my college career, I met Mark Stewart, Barry Blair, Bob Herdman, and the others. And we traveled and we did our 10,000 hours playing all through college. And we would get signed. We'd moved to Nashville in 1990. And then from there, we were just on every, you know, huge tour that there was. Stephen Curtis Chapman, Newsboys, you know, DeGarmo and Key, DC Talk. Just kind of got out there. And the next thing you know, you look up 10 years later and you're like, wow, where's my life gone? What has happened? You know, I've gotten married in that time. I've had 3 kids during that time. And we were very successful. I mean, we had lapped the world a few times. We won a couple Grammys, a lot of Christian awards, you know, #1 songs, all this. And then we really started asking the question, why do we do this? I mean, why do we leave our families? What gets us out of bed? And that's, I think, important for everyone, is to find a passion in life. Obviously, we had a passion for music. We were young. We were energetic. We had a passion to see the world. We had a passion to write songs to encourage the church and make great music, which all got awarded and all kind of accomplished its thing. But at another level, we were just kind of like, you know, when you're kind of older and you've got a family and it's tough leaving home and missing, you know, birthdays and this and that. Why do we do this? And so that's when we really started some serious soul searching. And that's when the idea of starting some kind of thing and using our platform to give back or to speak about it or to help someone or something kind of came into play. And so that was really the bigger question we asked that got us into Haiti. Mark's mom and dad were missionaries there, and we heard all these crazy stories of Haiti. And soon as we asked that question, you know, we're standing up here on stage telling people, you know, all these things they need to do, but what are we really doing? What can we do with our platform more? We asked that question. Haiti popped in our mind, and we immediately went down there, pooled the band's money together, bought some land, realized there was a massive orphan crisis in Haiti at that time, and said, that's it. We're going to try to put a dent in the orphan crisis in Haiti. Started the Hands and Feet Project Children's Villages in 2004. So I've kind of said a lot there, but that's a little bit of the backstory and the journey I've been on. So yeah,
and you guys, you're so the band is Audio Adrenaline, guys, and I remember watching or listening to them throughout whenever you guys were on the Christian, it was on, like, especially like that song, Big House. Is that right? Is that,
yep.
I remember that one on all the time. And then you wrote a song called Hands and Feet, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that was about this whole, whole mission in Haiti.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we were standing on stage singing Hands and Feet every night, and Mark would challenge people to get out of their comfort zones, to really consider living out the gospel at work or at school.
Mm-hmm.
That you're not a missionary when you're in a foreign land. You're a missionary everywhere you go. You carry Christ with you, and you carry his, what he's done for you. And, and how he saved you, and that should just overflow out of you, and such a thankfulness and a gratefulness to tell others that story that you've encountered. And so we were encouraging people, and that's when we really felt like, man, we just need to do more. And so the namesake Hands and Feet project is named after that song.
Wow.
About being Christ's hands and feet to the people you're around, and even going to other parts of the world and loving the least of these, and the poor and the orphan and widow. All those things. So
that's awesome. So you bought land. What was your plan? You knew it. Did you have like the current, like you have totes now and coasters and wallets and journals. Were those things in mind when you bought that land, or what were you thinking when you guys bought that land?
Well, I'm a dumb bass player, and we were a rock band, and we decided to start a children's village, an orphanage in effect, in a developing nation, a third world nation in the country of Haiti. I don't think we really thought it through. And I think sometimes when God asks you to do stuff, if you did think it through, you'd probably say no.
You'd stop. So yep, absolutely.
We kind of jumped, he said go, we jumped, and we bought land for the specific reason to start this children's village. And we started talking about it from our stage. Our fans came alongside us, and this thing took off. We got our first children, probably like just a year later. There was about 12 or 15 of our early students that we got. We're traveling all over talking about this idea of becoming the hands and feet of Christ. Talked about Haiti, talked about the work, talked about children, opening it up for trips, started going on trips with our fans. I mean, this whole idea just kind of took off, and the nonprofit really grew. And then it was kind of its own thing. This thing is up and running. It's doing its own thing. And like I said, these children, were little, but we knew that they were going to age out at one point. Haiti's social services says at 18, they got to go, and so we've created some programs, transitional programs and all of that, but we knew that they would just get thrown back into Haiti's poverty cycles. And so we knew quickly we would have to create something for them to do. And that's really where the heart behind Haiti Made was birthed.
Yeah.
It's like, what cool thing could we make in Haiti? Or we treated our campuses as job creations. All the Hands and Feet campuses, we have 2, and we have about 130 kids we care for. We're like, okay, that's job creation. And then, from the drivers to the caregivers to the wash ladies, the cook ladies, all that, so that's job creation. We created a tourism business around having groups come in. So we started to have our children, lead these groups and take them on excursions and kind of just show off the country that they love and are born in, and the country we love, show off Haiti. But then we were like, there's others that just need work when they graduate to fuel their dreams and to start their life. And so Haiti Made kind of became that vehicle. And then we just said, what can we make in Haiti to give a marketplace back in America? And there was a leather tannery in Port-au-Prince, and we just kind of started creating designs and ideas, and they're an incredible people group. They're so hardworking. They're so entrepreneurial, so creative. So they were an incredible people group to work with. We started showing them stuff, and man, they just learned and they made it. And we just tried to improve their skill set, every day, every year, try to bring in experts, try to, teach them things and just give them ideas that would be, sellers in America, and kind of design help. And then they were off to the races. So this is about 6 years we've been up and running now.
That's good that you bring an expert, because if I was doing that, I'd be like, I have no idea how to make these journals, these totes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that know how to do that.
I mean, that's why they're so gifted and so talented. I mean, they can learn anything so quickly. It's unbelievable. So.
Yeah. And so how many people do you employ with Haiti Made now?
It kind of ebb and flows depending on the quarter, the season,
Okay.
but probably about 40 normal day. And then when we head into Christmas and kind of our gift giving season, stuff like that, it can get up in the 80 to 90 range, 100 even. It was 93 kind of in our peak year.
Okay.
A couple years ago. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. And I saw on your website, you actually, what's that?
That's how we scale, is we just add more people when we have managers. It's top down, Haitian run. You know, we have my main manager, and he trains managers, and the managers work with the workers, and they have different departments that they work in, from sewing to finishing to cutting to, you know, all the different things. So
yeah. Oh my gosh. I saw on your website that you pay like about double what the normal living wage is.
Yes, that's right. We'll try to, I mean, I call it a fair living wage. It's just something that someone can like build a life on. But it's all based on Haitian minimum wages. And then there's some pretty ugly stats about what people live on in Haiti. You know, like the average person lives on $2.50 a day.
Wow.
In the U.S. And there's some abject poverty numbers where they live on $1.25. So it's tough there. Economic things are very tough. Unemployment is tough. So these people have an incredible job. You know, you can't go in there and pay wages comparison to all over the world, because you just kind of wreck the whole system. And it kind of, you know, it can throw things out of whack and really set people up for failure, because that's the expectation they get. And then when you go away, or if you fail, or if you have to let them go, they can't find any other thing that could even come close to giving them the quality of life that they had in that blown out kind of job that they had. So we try to be better, you know, the best we can be without kind of disrupting the system. But we want it to be a fair living wage. So it's about double on average. And then they have a lot of growth in the company to grow to really great, you know, kind of numbers as Haiti goes. It's a really great job at levels and management.
That is awesome. Tell me about your products. Where I know mentioned there's totes and wallets and journals and there's hats, and what else do you have?
Oh man, I mean, you're hitting a lot of it. Keychains, wallets. We're just kind of like a working man's leather. We're just like, we want to kind of be medium price, not too low, not too high, but we want to be affordable, but we want the story to go out. So, because this is, you know, the good that this purchase buys when you buy a journal or a wallet or a tote or a keychain or a passport holder. I mean, we've just kind of got a little bit of everything out there to provide great function and great beauty for someone's life. You know, there's cups and sleeves and all kinds of stuff, but, you know, it really, the end goal is not to be the next amazing leather company, which we want to be incredible at our craft, because a lot of heart and soul goes into it, handmade by the, you know, the beautiful team members in Haiti. But at the end of the day, it's the good that you feel when you realize that you've just provided a job. You've just allowed someone to go to work, make a fair living wage, go home and feed their family, and then also provide economy to the community they live in. So that's all really cool stuff to be buying a leather product. And so I think it's also kind of a business as mission, or you know, story gift kind of model, where our whole heartbeat is really around we're a business to create good and to help people, you know. So
that's awesome. Well, there's a lot of people in my audience that I think our first conversation we had, I told you about some of the things that we do. And I teach people how to sell on Amazon. And one of them is private label. And a lot of the folks in my audience, at least some of them, want that story that you have, rather than just saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to have a mug created and I'm going to put my brand name on it. Yeah, that's nice. But it would be so much more cool to say, you know what, this mug was made by somebody in Haiti or whatever. And there's a story behind it, and it allows me to, in a way, not that I don't feel good about this mug to begin with, but it makes me feel even better about this brand that I'm building. How would you, I know one way I think people can do is just partner up with you and buy your goods and put we'll talk about that here in a minute, how they can take your products and make them their own. But if I wanted to do similar to what you're doing, and gosh, let's say I wanted to do this in Costa Rica, for example, any advice on somebody who wants to, you know, if I wanted to do coffee, What are some of the things you learned in the whole process of working with folks overseas, different country, and creating a brand like what you're doing?
Well, it's that could be a whole nother podcast.
Oh, sure. I'm sure it can.
It's you know, from risk assessment to just liabilities and all the things you have to consider as a business. Most people probably wouldn't end up in Haiti.
Okay.
They probably wouldn't end up trying to help, you know, someone necessarily. But I really think that that's the way the world's going. I mean, you know, think of Tom's kind of was one of the real early starters of the you know, buy one, give one. And, you know, you've got Patagonia and others. The B Corp has been created, the benevolent company, you know. So these, this idea of trying to have a company that really has a greater purpose than making money in mind. And obviously you've got to make money to be sustainable and to, you know, and you got to have your X's and O's. You got to run a business, you know, like a business, but you can still have some real core, beliefs and kind of driving factors and culture, the culture that you set. So, yeah, lots of hardships in Haiti. I mean, they're a developing nation, like we said. They have a lot of natural disasters that come. They've dealt with earthquakes and hurricanes. They have political unrest just because they haven't quite figured out, you know, what being a democratic nation kind of looks like or even feels like. They've been doing it for a number of years, but still haven't quite got it all worked out. I think, you know, we've been doing it for a lot longer, and I still question, you know, how much we've got it figured out. But, you know, that's just learning curve. But, you know, so there, you know, there's not a lot of infrastructure there. You know, there's not consistent electric. There's not running water. You don't, you know, so we're built off the grid. We work at a facility that's, you know, runs on solar and batteries and a generator if we need it, but has inverters and, you know, has redundancies, has wells. And so we're really off the grid. We really use very little electricity. Our team it's predominantly handmade. We mechanize some things by using, you know, some clickers and some other things to stamp out forms. But I mean, it's predominantly handmade. So everything that you get from Haiti made, you know, someone poured a lot of heart and soul and love into it. They handcrafted that thing, from cutting the sides of leather to cutting the forms to sewing to finishing, you know. And then but yeah, it's and then we, you know, ship raw goods in. We find some raw goods in the country. Our leather is out of Port-au-Prince, but then you got to kind of, you make it and you got to get it out of the country and back into America. So there's all kinds of points of disruption, but you know, anything can be done, and things are happening all over the world. You mentioned Costa Rica. I mean, there's stuff just happening everywhere, you know, because people have a heart to help developing nations. You know, they have a heart to help, you know, they'll go and travel on some kind of mission trip or some kind of form and they just get captivated by the people, you know, and they fall in love with the people group, and they fall in love with, you know, maybe the idea of just seeing them kind of better their life. A lot of times we can come in as Westerners and we can tip the scales and do things wrong, though. That's when helping hurts. But if you can kind of think through it systematically, and what is a really helpful move to help a people first and not just kind of carry your own agenda out, then that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So. Why did you choose leather? Was that like the low hanging fruit that was there? It was already being made there, and you just. Yeah,
I mean, it's, you know, it's hard to know exactly why. I mean, we dabbled in some bracelets. We dabbled in some stuff that they made just kind of innately, paintings and like some metal work and some pottery, some woodwork. There was a leather factory, as I said, in Port-au-Prince. So we brought some leather into the picture. And then it just kind of was what would work in America, kind of what would work with our marketplace that we wanted to create. And so we kind of had a lot of things on the website initially, and then we just kind of became a leather company over time. And we do a little bit of crochet and knit, kind of make some beanies and stuff like that. So I don't know if that was just kind of a narrowing and a focusing and have the team just be really skilled at something and to hone their craft. And even then you kind of want to like know how many products you should have, and should you only have a few, and kind of like be great at those. So it kind of removes error and cuts down on quality, you know, control and all that stuff. Or do you have a wider offering to catch a bunch of people's interest and attention? And then, as you mentioned, we've even opened up to where we do kind of in the promotional marketing, the ASI marketplace, where we're a vendor who will, stamp a company logo on anything we make and give them an incredible story gift. It's not something, nothing against China or any other parts of the world where you can buy a mug or this or that kind of a trinket or some incidental thing that a lot of companies use for years, for decades, to kind of show up at conventions and give stuff with their logo out. We've said, hey, what would it be to have a lot more intentional thought put into that, to really think of that end user that's getting that gift so much that you would give them a nicer gift, number one, and then a gift that's stamped with your logo, that's handmade in Haiti, and it has a great story attached to it. So people are really loving that idea. We can promote movies, we help companies promote campaigns or slogans, or show up at a convention carrying a killer, or it's like promoting your inner corporate world people, giving out into your gifts, all that stuff. So
that is awesome. Yeah, one of the ideas I had was obviously my audience with the private label folks. So we teach them how to, it's called private label the easy way. And so instead of like me thinking, okay, you know what, I want some leather goods from Haiti, let's go and recreate everything that you've done and build it up from the ground. Like, wow, I could do that, but holy cow, that's a big task.
A lot of work.
Why don't I just say, hey, Will, I love the products that you have. Can I take those products out of their package and put it in my own, essentially?
There you go.
You're okay with that model. Another thing that I think my audience might benefit from is that, like you said, the promo company. So guys, think I'm talking to my audience here. Think about, what are you already selling? Maybe you're selling T-shirts, for example, and there's a certain saying that you're just like, for some reason, this saying or this Bible verse or whatever quote it is working on this shirt or this mug or this hat. Why don't you put it on a tote or a journal? And talk about your, you don't need like a 5,000 piece minimum order or anything. So
no, not at all.
How do my audience work with you? How do they find you and get started?
Yeah, well, HaitiMade.com is our e-commerce, but info@HaitiMade.com is a great email. Will@HaitiMade.com is my email, but it's, it's something that we would love to partner with folks on. Because at the end of the day, our mission and vision is to create dignified and sustainable jobs for Haitians in Haiti. So, we're supporting mothers to keep their families together, because when a mom has a job, they can go home and feed their family. That child, is not gonna probably end up in an orphanage at that point. We're supporting the transitioning students that are coming out of Hands and Feet projects, their first job to fuel their dreams. We're, supporting other young buck Haitian men and women who are furthering their studies at university. So we're a great job to help them pursue, furthering education. And so, if you want to put any kind of logo or slogan or anything on any of our products, and we've even done custom stuff. We do custom cases for All Clear up in Minneapolis. They're a kind of a hearing monitoring headphone kind of company. And so we make a great leather case for them. We've actually supported another company called Half United. We make their bags for them because we're skilled bagsmen and women. So, our company can produce stuff for you if you want. But
that is cool.
We love all different kind of creative ways to support the mission, and we're young, we're kind of lean and mean, we're small, we're nimble, and we can pivot, and we can kind of do these. When you're a big machine, it's harder for you to kind of take on these cool new creative things that could come down your path. So, but we like that idea.
That is awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to be, I've told you this and I'll say it publicly. I'm going to be buying some stuff for you for my, my Amazon Legends group, because I think that would be some cool gifts. We're instituting a success path. So people hit certain milestones in their business. That might be something we give as a gift. Like here's a, maybe, I don't know if we'll say here's a journal. It might be like you get to pick from these things or whatever. But we're going to have something stamped. I might do something for streams of income. Your stuff is beautiful, and it's something I'd be proud to say, here, this is a gift from me. And I didn't have to make it either. Plus I'm supporting an awesome mission, and
that's right.
I think it's awesome.
You nailed it. And we do have to have killer products to start with. You can't just have a story. You got to start with an excellent product first. So I'm glad you you see the value in that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I love your, so my wife and I were talking a few months ago. I've started, before this whole COVID thing hit, I did an event called Streams of Income Live. And I thought, it'd be cool to have things at the back of the table back besides just my books. I talk about, having dreams and goals and writing down the things the Lord tells you. And so a journal works perfectly with that, but also your bracelets. And I'm not a big bracelet guy, but the cool ones that you have are really neat, and something, in my opinion, most men would be like, yeah, I'd wear that. And you could put a cool scripture on that, or guys, are just so many, literally anything you can conceive of. It doesn't have to be just text. It can be a picture. They can stamp it into the leather. Sky's the limit. And your minimum order is like ridiculously low. Like, is it a $250 to start with?
People. We just like to work with people. I know you mentioned that before, that minimum order. I mean, if someone's going to go through the process to create a stamp and get it to Haiti and kind of want to really customize or personalize, individualize some kind of cool thing that we make. I mean, obviously they want to do more than just a few, but
sure.
I mean, we like to have the barrier of entry really kind of low, because we feel like once people have done it once and that stamps in Haiti, I mean, they can stamp that stamp on some other things at some time. It stays there. It's, thousands of impressions good. And so, but we like to just break the barrier of entry and like let people know and see the process of it and kind of experience that firsthand. And we've had an incredible run. I mean, we've worked with the likes of Tim Tebow Foundation and so many other Compassions, World Visions, and from Zappos to whoever, you name it. I mean, I can only imagine the movie, things like that. So it's just, if you got a team that's creative and wants to kind of think out of the box to promote what you do and to tell your own story, and our story kind of becomes your story. It's like Zappos is giving out a little keychain because they just want to give someone a cool gift when they sign up on their website, but they also have a little story card that goes along with that.
Absolutely.
And it says, this gift was, intentionally created and crafted for you, and this is the good it does. So that's just such a cool, another layering of gift giving, So
absolutely. Yeah, guys, go to HaitiMade.com, check it out. And literally you can make you can make their story your story, and say that, every sale of my brand new leather totes with my saying on it, it is supporting jobs in Haiti, and you've got a cool thing you can talk about. So rather than recreating the whole wheel, just partner up with these guys, and their story is your story now.
Yeah.
Cool. Will, thank you so much. Anything else you want to share? And we got a bunch of entrepreneurs on here. I love what you said about you guys in audio adrenaline. You just did it. You just went for it, because that's what a lot of times you have to do. If you you got to pull the trigger. You can't.
That's right. I mean, I think it's if anything else, we were hardworking Midwest boys. We came out of the generation, from the greatest war, and then they really instilled an incredible work ethic in the guys and I in the band. Most of us were, like I said, Midwest farm boys growing up. We were shucking hay, or we were making gardens, or working in the field and stuff. So when you task anyone like us with something, we're going to be like, okay, we're going to kick a hole through that, and so we put it on our back and we went out and did it, and we worked really hard. We traveled and we built the thing. And I think, like you said, we probably didn't know or understand the term at the time, but we were kind of serial entrepreneurial, crazies. And, we started publishing companies, we started labels, we started manager teams, we started booking agencies all around, our band. And we work with a lot of young bands, work with a lot of labels. And it's just interesting the path you're on, because that was sort of the relational equity that I brought into Haiti Made. I had all of that clientele and those past relationships, and also your the way you carry yourself is just really important. Your what people think of you and what they thought of the band, and kind of what they thought of us as businessmen. All of that came into play, and we really did it high level. We did it well, and we did it hardworking, and people remembered that, and they've rewarded that in Haiti Made. And, and there's no time like now. I mean, in this COVID season or whatever, I was just listening to a podcast the other day, and, he was talking about, the podcast was called Plant plant a friggin' tree. You know, it's like there's no time like now to stake your claim in something, you know, and not cower, not, you know, lay around and do nothing, or not, you know, go bankrupt, or not put things on hold because, you know, 6 months down the road, you're going to be, man, why didn't I do that then, you know, that I want to do now, you know? So it's, you just got to kind of go for it using kind of what you can see. And at the time, make the best decisions with the information you have, but go for it. Always going for it, always making decisions, and always just kind of like, and you can, you know, in motion, it's easier to steer something in motion rather than something sedentary.
Oh, that's good.
But you get some moving, you know, some movement going, you can course correct, and you can make things happen. So we're even in this crazy time, you know, it's tough on Haiti made. Our companies we deal with are slow. You know, brick and mortars are closed, all these things. We just pivot and we shift and we try to be creative, you know. And we're even looking at doing some new things and trying other things, you know. So you just got to keep it going, right?
Good business advice. I always say, and I didn't make this up, heard it from somebody else, God can't direct a parked car.
There you go.
Also with action comes clarity. Some people don't know exactly what they're, you know, they don't always know exactly what's going ahead or what their niche is or whatever, but you just start taking action, start opening some doors, just move. Like you said, I love that. That's good stuff.
I think that's a great principle.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on with me. I bet I'll have you on again to talk about some other things. So I imagine there's a whole other podcast episode just about some of the stick-to-itiveness you guys had to have in your band, and because not everybody makes it to the level that you guys made it at. So I'm sure there's business lessons there. But just thank you for being on with me. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'd love to come back. Really, awesome. I would. It's amazing.
All right. Have a great day, man.
Okay. See you later.
All right. See you.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.